Thank you, Adam. The title of my sermon today is, Hey, have you tried cheese? Today's sermon is the second in a 9-sermon series entitled, Go Therefore and Spread Joy. As you heard last week, hopefully if you listened to the sermon, if you didn't, it's on YouTube, you can catch it there. But as you heard last week in my sermon, notwithstanding this time of hatred and division and pain, I believe that we are all called to go out into the world with courage in our eyes, with faith in our hands, and with joy in our hearts. Why? Because someone, friends, needs to be the hero. Now, the problem is that there are things that derail us from that clear mission to go therefore and spread joy. And the next 8 sermons are all about those things that steal our joy. And I'd love to ask Travis and Earth to show a little slide. If you guys, there it is. Go therefore and spread joy, things that steal our joy. The next 8 sermons, and if you notice, the first letter of each word spells spread joy. Isn't that great? So today we're talking about shiny things. Next week we're talking about put downs. Then rescheduling joy, delaying joy. Then we're talking about ego. Then we're going to talk about anguish and loss. Then we're going to talk about doubt. Then we're going to talk about having a jacked up attitude. And finally, I needed 2 letters, oy vey. It is all about fear and anxiety. I can't spell very well, but that's the best I could do, all right? So this is what we have coming down the pike. So, thank you, Travis. Thank you, Earth. Today, give Travis and Earth a round of applause. Today's thing that steals our joy are shiny things. One of my favorite cartoons growing up was the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner Happy Hour. Does anybody remember? This is old school, I know. Some people, thank you. Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. If you don't know it, Google it, go find it. Yes, exactly. The sound effects I will ask for in a bit. Go check it out. It was based on a really simple concept. Wile E. Coyote, it's Wile, W-Y-L-E, period, Coyote, Wile E, get it, Wile E. Coyote, did everything in his power to catch the Roadrunner, to throw him off track. Now, honestly, between us, I don't know that the Roadrunner was that bright, because the things that Wile E. Coyote did were not that complicated. One of his favorite things to do was simply to change the direction of the road sign. So the Roadrunner running down the road in the hot desert, Roadrunner's hot and thirsty, and sure enough, there'd be a road sign that would be pointed to the right that said, water this way. But the coyote would get to it first and take the sign and turn it to the left. And so when the Roadrunner comes flying down the road and sees it, beep, beep, Matt, yeah, thank you. He'd go running down the wrong road that had no water because the sign was turned to the right. And Wile E. Coyote would be standing in the wings going, Now, if you think that's just a children's cartoon, you're wrong, because it's the story of life. People, I hate to break it to you, but we are the Roadrunner. Now, I know we like to think we're a highly intelligent, evolved species, but we're not even close. Astrophysicist Stephen Hawking once wrote, "We are an advanced breed of monkey on a tiny, unremarkable planet revolving around a below-average star." Yeah, we can be led so easily. And you know who does the leading? Do you know who the Wile E. Coyote is in life? The devil. Now, I know this is a sophisticated Midtown Manhattan congregation, But you got a preacher from Southern Appalachia up here, so sometimes we're going to have to talk about the devil. And that includes today. Now, in the dry deserts of life, the devil's out there, waiting, watching, poised to switch every road sign that he can to throw us off course. Now, I say he. It could be she. It could be they. The devil does not discriminate, okay? We're going with he today. In the dry deserts of life, the devil is poised to switch any and every road sign he can find to throw us off course and keep us from getting to the water we so desperately need. The water that fills us with life and power and strength, and that water is the oasis of joy. We all carry it inside, and when we drink of that joy, we are unstoppable. And the devil knows it. And so he turns the sign that should be pointing inward towards us, takes the sign and points it out to the outside world. Water this way. Beep, beep. And we go flying off to a direction that has no water. And the devil just sits there and goes, he's sneaky, that devil. He knows when we're thirsty. He knows when we're tired. He knows when we're weak, when we are not on our A game. And he knows what shiny things get our attention. He knows which direction to turn the sign. I mean, sometimes he uses simple things, like simple, unassuming, innocent things, like cheese. Who here loves cheese? Okay, maybe just about everybody. Some people may have, dairy intolerance, and that's fine, you get a pass, but otherwise, I'm pretty sure most of the human population loves cheese. In fact, the New York Times just published an article this week about how archaeologists found a 3,600-year-old grave in the Xinjiang region of northwest China, which contained the preserved mummy of a young girl complete with a tasseled coat, fur-lined boots, and wait for it, yes, chunks of cheese laid out like a necklace along her coat. New York Times last week, just saying. For thousands of years, cheese has been a powerful devil medicine. Trust me, I know. I just spent the last 4 months in Wisconsin, the state that produces more cheese than anywhere in the country. 500 million pounds of cheese a year. 500 million. That's probably why in a local Wisconsin gift shop, I found this bag. Travis and Earth, can you show an image for our live stream audience? Hey, have you tried cheese? Yes. Yep. And why do we laugh at this? Because we all know what it means. Yeah, sure, cheese is innocent enough, but it's a slippery slope. First, you start adding just a little bit of Parmesan to your eggs. Next thing you know, you're putting Velveeta on your grits. Then you're nibbling on a couple of pieces of string cheese because they're protein, which leads you to start a 3 grilled cheese lunch habit with your George Foreman. And then the dreaded turning point, the moment the devil has you in his grasp, when you start consuming large bowls of queso with a straw. It's in that queso stage that our joy rapidly begins to decrease in direct correlation with the number of anti-cholesterol statins we have to increase. And the devil watches all this from afar going, hey, have you tried cheese? But it could be anything. Hey, have you tried mayo? Hey, have you tried a salted caramel espresso martini? Hey, have you tried vaping? Hey, have you tried fentanyl? And on and on. When we're down, when we're tired, when we're weak, when we aren't on our A game, the devil starts pointing signs to things we think will make us happy, but in the end will steal our joy. Because the devil knows if our health suffers, we tend to lose joy like that. But hey, maybe it's not your health that the devil targets. Maybe the devil knows your road sign needs to be pointed at stuff or mindless distractions. Hey, have you seen the new Tesla Cybertruck? Hey, did you know Amazon was having a sale? Hey, have you seen the new episode of Industry? You can stream all 36 hours right now. All these things are fun. I'd like to have I don't really want a Tesla Cybertruck. What am I saying? But these are all basically fun things, but they also are things that keep our attention out here. They keep us from turning in here. They are empty things that emotionally dehydrate us. Things that contain no water of life. Things that disconnect us from what is true and real and authentic. In short, it disconnects us from what's going on in here. Now, there's one other trick the devil uses, and it's probably his most powerful. And that is switching our attention, turning the sign towards what we don't have, towards what we've lost, towards what's wrong in our lives. Hey, how come they have this and you don't? Hey, why aren't you making this salary that this other person's making who has less seniority? Hey, why did this person die and not that person? Hey, why did the hurricane flood your house and not your neighbor's house? And on and on. It's so easy to get riled up when the devil turns the road sign to point at what we don't have, point at what we've lost, instead of what we have. I mean, just look at the story that Adam read for us today from the book of Job. Now, many of us have heard this story before. The scripture tells us Job was a man who was blameless and upright and who feared God and turned away from evil. But then, verse 2, chapter 2, tells us that some of the leaders came to present themselves to God, including Satan. And God said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? He still holds on to his integrity, although you try to get me to destroy him for no reason." And Satan says, "Well, that's because Job has a cushy life and everything he could possibly want. Mess with any of that, and Job will turn on you on a dime." And God says, "Fine, try it." And so Satan destroys Job's livestock, his property, his children, and his health. And he turns the road sign for Job to point at all the things that have gone wrong, all the things that he had lost. And yet, Job didn't fall for the devil's trick. He kept his gaze inward. He kept his mind, his heart focused on what he knew to be true, which was that no matter what was happening out here, God was and always will be in here. Now, the story goes on. Job just struggled, but in the end, God makes it crystal clear. If you focus on what's going on out here, and that's all you focus on, if you focus on your questions, your doubts, your anger, you will stumble and fall. But your strength, your faith, your power, your source of life, your joy is right here with me. Now, Job is just one of many Bible stories like this. I think of the Apostle Paul in prison facing a sure death sentence, who wrote, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I say again, rejoice." Or I also think of Dr. Martin Luther King, who in the midst of unspeakable violence said in his great speech on the Washington Mall, "Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, but let us hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope, so that even though we face the difficulties today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. My message today is about living through tragedy, facing loss and death, fighting injustice with a heart full of joy. I mean, God has given us that power if we will just remember where that power lies. But you don't have to be superhuman like Job or Paul or Dr. Martin Luther King. You can also see the power of joy in everyday people. About a month ago, Toby and I stopped at a 24-hour truck stop for breakfast. I'm sorry, I love a good truck stop. Anybody here like just a good, greasy truck stop? It's just good. I just like it. And, you know, the devil's like, hey, have you found a truck stop? Because, I mean, it's not good for you, right? But we stopped at this 24-hour truck stop for breakfast. And what struck me, it's just great people watching, you know. And I was watching, and what struck me was the waitress. She'd been there all night long. And from the snippets of conversations with the patrons, I picked up that she was a single mom with 4 kids working 3 jobs. And so, in that context, you would think she'd be the surliest human being that ever walked the face of the earth, and yet she was full of joy. Every single person that came in that morning got the same greeting. Morning, sunshine! Want some coffee? Every single person. And when she came over to our table, I said, you know, I wish I could have half your joy this early in the morning. And she started pouring our coffee, and without missing a beat said, honey, I don't have enough energy to be mad and work. Right? And I had to go, whoa. Toby's like, write that down, that's a sermon. I don't have enough energy to be mad and work. Joy is my coffee. It's the one thing that picks me up and keeps me going. Well, I was just blown away by that. But then, of course, I had to push it and say, well, what about when you have a bad day? And then she started laughing and she said, what choice do we have? She goes, you want to wallow like a pig? Fine, but you're going to get muddy. And then she wheels on her heels and just goes off and begins to spread joy to everybody else in the truck stop. I was like, wow, yeah, that's true. What choice do we have? We can stay in a place of pain and resentment and anger and pull everyone around us down, or we can find some way to find the joy in our hearts, a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of hope, and we lift ourselves up and everyone around us. And I saw it happen in that truck stop. It changed the dynamics of that place. And people like that waitress drive the devil crazy. I mean, not only did she tap her own joy, she went out and shared it with others, which is the devil's biggest nightmare. Because once we have that joy, there's no stopping us. Let me just add this as we close. As a point of comparison, let me share a few things you will never hear the devil say. Hey, have you tried prayer? Hey, have you tried meditation? Hey, have you tried reading scripture or journaling or positive affirmations or reading inspirational words? Hey, have you tried attending Madison Avenue Baptist Church? I hear they have a 9-sermon series going on about joy. No, you're not going to hear the devil say that, because those are things that are going to bind us to our joy, in the good times and the bad. It's like the words of a poem that Richard Bender shared with me this week. The poem is entitled A Brief for the Defense by Jack Gilbert. And let me share these few words. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not delight, not enjoyment. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. I'll say that again. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the devil. The devil wants us to focus on anything and everything that takes our attention in the wrong direction. away from our power. Hey, you tried cheese? Beep, beep. But if we have the power to keep our eyes on what matter, if like Job and Paul and Dr. King and that waitress at the truck stop, if we have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world, we are unstoppable. We have a song at the end of our service today that I am dedicating to the devil. It will be sung by our own Deoncio Greer Jr., and he's here from the Academy of Dramatic Arts with many of our friends here. Ozza has been gracious and kind. I've been coaching him, and he's going to be singing a song by Elton John called I'm Still Standing. Well, take that, devil. My sermon message this morning is a simple one. When you find yourself heading down an unhealthy or empty or negative path, stop. Just stop. Switch the sign back. Turn it away from the shiny things out here. Turn it back to the power source in here. Find your joy. And then go, therefore, and spread it. And the people said, Amen. Amen.